Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of English in Practice. It's Kareem with you, your English teacher. I hope you're all taking the appropriate precautions to protect yourselves against the new coronavirus. In a previous episode, I talked about conditional sentences and explained what the zero and the first conditionals are. In today's episode, I will talk about the second conditional, so keep watching. What is the second conditional? This type of conditionals is used to express a condition in the present or the future about something that is hypothetical, unreal, or impossible. Let's have an example. If I had a lot of money, I would buy a mansion. In this example, I am using the second conditional because I am expressing a condition that is impossible. To me, I know that it is impossible for me to have this huge amount of money, which means I will never be able to buy a mansion. Now, I'm using the second conditional in this case because I know that this is impossible for me. Some other people may be able to use the first conditional because it is not impossible for them to have this amount of money and to buy a mansion. Also, notice that both phrases are written in the past tense, both the if clause and the main clause. Not because we are trying to talk about something that happened in the past, but because we are talking about something that is unreal or impossible. And this is called the unreal past. So we can say that whenever you talk about something that is impossible to happen or unreal, you can use the past tense. Let's have another example. If I knew her address, I would visit her. For me, at the present time, it is impossible for me to visit her because I don't know her address. That's why I'm using the second conditional, and that's why I'm using the unreal past. So the clauses of this sentence are written in the past tense, not because I'm talking about something that happened in the past, but because I'm talking about something, a condition, that is impossible to happen. Remember that if you switch the order of these clauses, you don't need the comma anymore. In the first example, I said, if I knew her address, comma, I would visit her. We have a comma here because we started our sentence with the if clause. But if we switch the order and start with the main clause, we don't need the comma anymore. So the sentence becomes, I would visit her if I knew her address. So we can say that if we start with the if clause, then we do need a comma to separate both clauses. But if we start with the main clause, that means we don't need any commas. Now let's talk about the verb to be in the second conditional. Since we are using the unreal past in the second conditional, we have to turn or change the verb to be into where with all the subjects. Let's have examples to see what that means. Example 1. If I were rich, I would buy a villa. If he were rich, he would buy a villa. If she were alive, she would be sitting with me. If it were alive, it would be sitting with me. In all of these examples, as you can see, we use the verb were instead of the verb was because the verb to be in all of these sentences is in the subjunctive mood. In simpler words, it refers to possibilities rather than facts. So it is wrong to say, if I was rich, I would buy a villa. If he was rich, he would buy a villa. If she was alive, she would be sitting with us. And if it was alive, it would be sitting with us. So you have to switch was and replace it with were. So the verb to be becomes were in the unreal past in the second conditional. Let's have two examples now to compare the second conditional with the first conditional. Example 1. If I became the president, I would help all the poor. Example 2. If I become the president, I will make sure you all have jobs. In the first example, we can see that the speaker is using the second conditional because they don't believe that they will become the president. So this is an imaginary situation for the speaker of the first example. In the second example, the speaker is using the first conditional because they do believe that they are more likely or they are likely or it is possible for them to be the president. The speaker may be an actual or a real candidate. So this is not an imaginary situation. It is a possible and real situation for the speaker of the second example. To sum up, we can say that the first conditional is used with real and possible situations, and in the first conditional we use the present tense in the if clause and the future tense in the main clause. However, in the second conditional, we use the past tense in both clauses, the if clause and the main clause, and we use it to talk about things that are impossible, unreal, hypothetical, or unlikely. The second conditional can be used to give advice. Let me give you an example. If I were you, I would not buy this car now. Now, the purpose of this sentence is to give advice. So if I tell you such a sentence, if I say such a sentence to you, that means I am giving you a piece of advice about buying the car. But why am I using the second conditional here? I'm using the second conditional because it is impossible for me to be you, or it is impossible for me to be in your position. But the meaning of the sentence is, if I were in your position, if I were you, I would not buy the car. I would not do anything about buying the car. So basically, the second conditional is used here because I am expressing an impossible condition, which is me being you. But the purpose of the sentence is to give advice. Today, we looked at the second conditional. We learned how to use it, when to use it, and why we use it in the first place. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you very much. Stay safe.